For this tutorial, I'm working with this Ankara print. This dress is for an 8-year-old baby and I used about 1.5 meters to make the Ankara part of the dress. So we're going to start with drafting the pattern for the upper part of the dress. I'm working with a shoulder measurement of 13 inches and half of that is 6.5, a neck width of 2.5 inches and the neck depth of 2.75 inches. I'll go ahead and square out these points. From the shoulder line on one half of the shoulder, I came down at 6 inches for the front armhole level. I will square it out. Still on this line, from the shoulder line, I came down at 1 inch for the shoulder slope. I will connect this point to the neckline with a straight line and draw in the neck curve. I'll find the midpoint from the shoulder slope point to the armhole level, and on this point I will place half of the front chest or armpit to armpit measurement. Then on the armhole level I will place 1/4 of the bust measurement, and with these 3 points I will draw in the front armhole curve. The front half length is 12.5 inches, so from the shoulder line I will go down 12.5 inches and I'll square out that point. On this line I'll place 1/4 of the waist measurement and draw in the side seam. So I want the shoulder width of the dress to be either 2.5 or 2.75 inches, and here I have 4 inches on the pattern. So from the neckline I came in by 1/2 inch, and from that 1/2 inch point I took my 2.75 inches shoulder width and redrew the neckline and the armhole curve. That's all for the front pattern. I will go ahead and add 1/2 inch seam allowance all around, except for the side seam I used 1 inch seam allowance. For the back bodies, on the shoulder line I will place half of our shoulder measurement of 6.5 inches, the neck width of 2.5 inches and the neck depth of 1 inch. I will square out these points. On the shoulder line on one half of the shoulder, I will come down at 6.5 inches for the back armhole level. Remember, we came down at 6 inches for the front armhole level. I will square out that point. Still on this line, from the shoulder line, I will come down at 1 inch for the shoulder slope. I will connect this point to the neckline. Then I will find the midpoint from the shoulder slope point to the armhole level. And on this point, I will place half of the back chest or armpit to armpit measurement. On the armhole level, I will place 1/4 of the bust measurement, and with these 3 points, I will draw the back armhole curve. With my tape on the shoulder line of the center back, I will go down 5.5 inches for the back neck depth. And just like we did for the shoulder width of the front, from the back neckline, I will go out by 1/2 inch, and from that 1/2 inch point, I will take my 2.75 inch shoulder width. With these points, I will draw in the back neckline and redraw the back armhole curve. The back half length is 12.5 inches, just like in the front, but we have a difference of 1/2 inch in the front and back armhole level, so I'm going to add that to the measurement and mark 13 inches. The reason for this is to balance up the side seam of the front to the back. You can use the same armhole level, it doesn't really matter, it's for a child. This 6.5 inches for me is a little bit much for the side seam of this dress, so I'm going to maintain the original back half length of 12.5 inches, and the 1/2 inch difference I'm going to remove on the front bodies from the waistline. If you decide to leave yours at 6.5, you just go ahead and place 1/4 of the waist circumference, draw in the side seam, then on the center back of the dress where you'll be attaching the zip, you go up by half an inch and blend it back into the waistline. This will help remove any bulge or fold when you attach your zipper. And that's it for the back bodies. So for this tutorial, I'm going to maintain the original back half length of 12.5 inches, which is what I'm taking here, and I'll square out that point. On this line, I'll place 1/4 of the waist circumference and draw in my side seam. On the center back, I will come up by half an inch. I will square that point a little and I'll blend it back into the waistline. This will help remove any bulge or fold when I attach my zipper. Then on the front bodies, the half-inch difference on the armhole level of the front and back, I'm going to remove that on the waistline of the front and blend it back into the waistline. This will help balance off the side seams of the front and back bodies, leaving it at 6 inches. So that's practically all I did. I will go ahead and add seam allowance and cut out my pattern. The waist circumference I'm working with is 27 inches plus 2 inches zipper allowance, 1 inch on both sides of the zip, making it 29 inches. These 29 inches I'm going to divide by 6.28, the formula to calculate the radius of a circle, and this gives me 4.6 inches as my radius. Now to calculate the total fabric for the high and low peplum, the height of my front peplum is 8 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance, making it 9 inches. Plus 4.6 inches the radius of my circle, making it 13.6 inches. For the back panel, I used 16 inches as the height, plus 1 inch seam allowance. This gave me 17 inches, plus 4.6 inches radius, and this gave me 21.6 inches. So when you add these two numbers up, 13.6 plus 21.6, this total to 35.2 inches. 35.2 inches is the diameter of my circle. That is the distance from one circle point to the other is 35.2 inches. Now to be able to cut this on my fabric, I will divide this 35.2 inches into 2, and this gives me 17.6 inches. So I'm going to fold my fabric at 17.6 inches. Please note that whatever height you're using for your front and back peplum, you're going to use the same formula to calculate the amount of fabric to be used. So guys, I folded my fabric in half at 17.6 inches. I'm going to fold it again into 2, making it 4 folds. Then I'll take the 17.6 inches round in a semicircle and cut it out. So guys, I've cut out my circle and you can see here the diameter measured 35.2 inches. So that's the center of my circle. Now I'm going to take the front measurement of 13.6 inches and make a point there. Then I'm going to measure the distance from that point to the center point to help me fold the circle correctly. So I'm going to fold the circle at that 13.6 inches point for the front panel. Then that measurement I took from that 13 inches point to the center of the circle, I'm going to turn the fabric on the wrong side and take it all the way along that line to make sure that they all measure the same thing. Once I ensure that they are all measuring the same and that the circle is well centered, I will go ahead and fold it into 4 again and mark the radius of 4.6 inches and cut it out. Before I cut this out, just to reconfirm my front and back peplum measurement, my front peplum measured 9 inches, which is what I have here, and the back measured 21.6 inches, which is what I have here as well. I'll go ahead and cut it out and make necessary notches. So guys, I've done that, and this is what my peplum looks like. I'm going to use this as a template to cut out the lining. I have cut out the lining for the peplum and I've split open their center back where we'll be attaching the zipper. Next, I'm going to cut out the lining for the toe. You're going to fold your satin in a triangular form, just the way we fold to cut out our flace skirt. Then from the tip of the triangle, you're going to come down to the point whereby if you measure the semicircle, it will equate to half of your waist circumference plus zipper allowance. Then from there, you take the full length of the lining. Here are all the materials I'll be needing for this gown. I have here my invisible zipper. I have the horsehair braids that I'll be adding to the peplum. I have here the bodies that I've cut out with their respective lining. I have the peplum and the lining. So this piece here is the rest of the satin I'll be using as my lining. Usually is a cotton fabric, but I do not have one. I have here a long rectangle measuring 43 inches. I still have some of the piece somewhere. I'll be adding to this to make enough room for the legs. If you have enough fabric, please cut the lining in a triangular form, the way you cut the lining for the tulle. So this is the lining for the tulle, the one we cut in a triangular form. So the lining for the dress should be cut in the same way. I have here 4 meters of tulle by 60 inches. The length of the tulle I cut for the gown is 23 inches. The excess I'll be trimming off later. So I cut 2 pieces of 4 meters of tulle by 23 inches, meaning that I have 8 meters of tulle by 23 inches. So my tulle is going to be in layers. Each layer measured 4 meters by 23 inches. So the rest of my tulle measured 14 inches. Remember, my tulle is by 60 inches. So this remaining 14 inches by 4 meters I'm going to use in place of a hat net. I'm going to start with the peplum. I already have a detailed tutorial on how to do this on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description. So I'm going to turn the peplum out with the lining and attach the crinoline as well. I have done that and I've given it a good press. Next, I'm going to work on the tulle. I'm going to run gather stitches on the tulle and on the lining of the tulle as well. So guys, I've done that. I have 2 layers of tulle, each measuring 4 meters by 23 inches. I'm going to attach the 3 panels together, the 2 layers of tulle and the satin. I've assembled them first with pins to ensure that all is in check before I attach with a straight stitch. So here I'm confirming my waist circumference of 27 plus 2 inch seam allowance, making it 29 inches. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and attach with a straight stitch. So guys, I've done that. I've attached the 2 layers of tulle and the satin with a straight stitch, and this is what it's looking like. I'll go ahead and pin the peplum in place and attach with a straight stitch. I have attached the peplum to the tulle, and you can see that the lower part of this dress is gradually coming together. Now we are going to work on the bodies. I'm going to start first by assembling the front and back panels on the shoulders, and I'll do the same with the lining. So guys, I've done that. I went ahead and attached the lining to the main fabric around the neck area and top stitch, and I wanted to show you guys before I go ahead and stitch around the armhole. You can see that my lining is a bit shorter than the main fabric. I have trimmed it down to 0.25 inch shorter than the fabric. This will help center the lining when I attach to the main fabric and turn it out to the right side. This way, the line will not be seen at the edge of the armhole or around the neck area. I'll take this to my machine and attach with a straight stitch and finish off the rest of the bodies. I have turned the bodies with the lining, and you can see how neat it is. You can also see how the lining is pulled in between the sleeve and the neckline. I'll go ahead and attach the bodies to the lower part of the dress. I've attached the bodies to the lower part of the dress, and this is what our dress is looking like. I attached without the lining of the bodies. Next, we are going to work on the lining, and for the lining of this dress, I have gathered in the remaining tulle that I said that will serve as my hat net, and I've top stitched it on the lining. From the waistline of the lining, I came down at 6.5 inches to make this top stitch. The width of my lining is 18 inches and this includes seam allowance. I'll go ahead and attach it to the lining of the dress. So guys, I've done that. I have attached the lining to the lining of the bodies and we are gradually coming to the end of this tutorial. Actually, this satin is meant to be a cotton lining, but I do not have any more pink cotton lining, so you can use that in place of the satin. So the next step is to attach the invisible zipper, and to make it easier, I'm going to attach the peplum, the 2 layers of tulle and the lining together with a straight stitch. Please, the lining of the dress is not included in this. So guys, I've done that. I've attached the 4 layers, the peplum, the 2 layers of tulle and the lining of the tulle together with a straight stitch up to the point where the peplum stopped to give me enough room to insert my invisible zipper. I've also inserted the invisible zipper on the other side to show you guys how I'll be finishing it up. I've attached the invisible zipper to the point where I want the zipper to stop. Then I'm going to roll over the lining like so and attach with a straight stitch up to the point where I want the zipper to stop as well, and this will give me a very neat finish on the wrong side. Then once that is done, I will stitch close the center back of the dress and finish off the hem of the satin and the lining. All this I'll be doing off camera and I'll show us the final look. So guys, this is the final look of the dress. Do not forget to like and share the video. Leave all your questions in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys in my next one. A bientôt!